Before Simon Cowell pressed the buzzer, the entire room fell silent. Two young sisters from the Philippines stood trembling on stage, holding their instruments, carrying a secret pain no one knew. What happened next shocked Simon, moved the judges to tears, and stunned millions watching across America. If you love real talent and emotional stories that touch the heart, make sure you subscribe now, because this performance changed everything. The stage lights dimmed slowly as the audience settled into an uneasy silence. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, his face showing the familiar mix of curiosity and skepticism. He had seen thousands of auditions over the years. Child prodigies, sibling acts, emotional backstories, and classical performances were nothing new to him. But something about the two young girls standing center stage felt different. They were small, almost fragile, dressed simply, holding their violins with hands that slightly trembled under the pressure of the moment. The host introduced them as sisters from the Philippines, known back home as musical prodigies. Their ages surprised everyone. The older sister was barely in her early teens, while the younger one looked even smaller, her feet barely touching the stage floor properly. When Simon asked why they chose Vivaldi's Winter, one of the most demanding and emotionally intense classical pieces ever written, the older sister paused. Her voice shook as she said they chose it because winter reminded them of the coldest time of their lives, a time they were forced to grow up too fast. The audience leaned forward. Simon's expression softened slightly, but he remained silent. He nodded, signaling them to begin. The first note cut through the air like ice. Sharp, fast, and unforgiving. The younger sister's bow moved with astonishing precision, matching the older sister perfectly. From the very first seconds, it was clear this was not a school-level performance. This was controlled, disciplined, and deeply emotional. The tempo was aggressive, the rhythm tight, and the intensity relentless. As the music surged, the camera cut to the judges. One judge raised her eyebrows in disbelief. Another slowly placed a hand over her mouth. Simon leaned forward now, his arms uncrossed, eyes fixed on the girls. The audience could feel it. Something powerful was happening. But then came the first twist. Halfway through the opening movement, the younger sister closed her eyes. Her face tightened as if she were holding back tears. For a brief moment, her bow hesitated. The music wavered just slightly. A few audience members gasped. Everyone thought she might stop. She didn't. Instead, she played louder, stronger, as if pouring every emotion she had ever buried into the strings. The older sister noticed instantly and adjusted her own playing, guiding her sister through the storm of notes. It was no longer just a performance. It was a conversation between two souls who had survived something together. Later, viewers would learn why that moment mattered so much. The second movement brought a sudden shift. The aggression faded into a haunting calm. The notes slowed, stretched, and breathed. The music felt cold, lonely, and heavy. In this quiet section, the pain behind the performance became impossible to ignore. The older sister's eyes glistened under the lights. Her chin trembled as she held the violin steady. The camera zoomed in on Simon Cowell's face. His expression had completely changed. This was not the Simon known for harsh criticism. This was a man deeply moved, trying to understand how two children could carry such emotional weight in their music. As the sisters played, the narration later revealed their hidden story. Back in the Philippines, they grew up in a small home where music was both an escape and a necessity. Their father, once a street musician, taught them violin using a broken instrument repaired with tape and glue. When he passed away suddenly, music became the only way the sisters could cope with their grief. Their mother worked long hours, often skipping meals so the girls could attend lessons. There were nights when the electricity went out, and the sisters practiced by candlelight. There were days they almost quit, days when the younger sister begged to play something easier, something happier. But the older sister always reminded her that music was their voice, the only way they could tell the world who they were. Back on stage, the final movement began. This was the most demanding part of Winter. Fast, ruthless, a true test of skill and endurance. The sisters attacked the strings with fearless precision. Every note was clean, every transition flawless. The audience began clapping mid-performance, something rarely seen in classical auditions. The energy in the room exploded. Then came the biggest twist of all. Just seconds before the final crescendo, the younger sister's string snapped. The sound was sharp and unmistakable. Gasps filled the theater. One judge stood up instinctively. The audience froze. A broken string meant the performance was over. But the older sister kept playing. Without hesitation, the younger sister adjusted her grip and continued on 3 strings. Her fingers moved faster, her bow digging deeper. The sound changed slightly, rawer, more desperate, but somehow even more powerful. The older sister stepped closer, shielding her sister, synchronizing every movement to carry her through. Simon Cowell's eyes widened. He whispered something under his breath. The final note rang out, echoing through the theater. Silence. Then the entire room erupted. The audience stood, cheering, screaming, some wiping tears from their faces. The judges were on their feet. One judge openly cried, another shook her head in disbelief. Simon Cowell stood slowly, clapping harder than anyone else. When the sisters lowered their violins, they looked confused, almost scared, as if unsure whether they had done something wrong. The younger sister looked down at her broken string, her lips trembling. Simon walked to the stage. He told them he had never seen children handle pressure, emotion, and adversity with such grace. He said the broken string didn't ruin the performance. It revealed their true greatness. He admitted that he had expected a nice classical audition. What he witnessed instead was a story of survival, love, and courage told through music. Then he pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti rained down as the sisters collapsed into each other's arms, crying uncontrollably. Their mother rushed onto the stage, hugging them tightly. The audience chanted their names. In interviews later, Simon said this performance reminded him why he started the show in the first place. Not just to find talent, but to find moments that restore faith in humanity. For viewers across the United States, the video went viral overnight. Millions watched, rewatched, and shared it. People said they felt chills. Others said they cried without understanding why. Music teachers praised the technical mastery. Parents admired the sisters' bond. Immigrants and dreamers saw their own struggles reflected on that stage. The sisters didn't just play Vivaldi's Winter. They turned it into a story of loss, resilience, and hope. And that is why this performance will be remembered long after the confetti is gone.